Hi, I'm Sofia. I'm the founder of Old Atlas. It's a pleasure to be here today. Old Atlas, it's a company that will make cultivated meat a reality by enabling the scale-up of its production. So there is a problem. Cultivated meat is not scaling up at the pace we need. After almost a decade and billions invested, only 4% of the cultivated meat companies were able to reach the pilot capacity, and none the industrial scale. So what is actually happening? As the Good Food Institute, we also believe that cells are the main building block of cultivated meat. However, none of the available cell lines represent a solution to scale up. We are proposing a faster way to unlock this. As a first product, we are selling customized stem cell lines and a personalized support to help our customers scale up their production. Our cell lines are generated using our machine learning software platform that allows to control and predict stem cell behavior in vitro and at scale. With our software, we can help cultivated meat companies to move from the lab to a pilot scale in less than a year. So how does this work? First, we develop the cell lines and how to use them at scale. Second, we deliver the products to our users. Third, they test them in their production and upload the results onto our platform. And finally, we receive that data and use it to iterate on our product development. So this continuous improvement loop allows us to increase our client production capacity in 10 times per cycle. So we will enter the market next year, selling to customers we have already identified. By 2025, our sales and expertise will enable our customers to reach industrial scale. And by 2030, with our help, they will reach cost parity with conventional animal meat, allowing us to reach 200 million in revenues. We will start by charging a flat fee, mainly for the cell lines, but by 2025, the business model will work with a subscription model based on production volumes. So there is competition, of course, but Old Atlas is unique in two ways. First, our proprietary machine learning platform allows us to deliver custom cells faster and with higher success rates than anyone else. And second, in addition to selling the cells, we help our customers incorporate them into their unique production systems to maximize viability and support the scale-up. So in just 4 months, we have built an ecosystem for success, including investors, our cultivated meat customers, and technology partners. In addition, we have concluded 2 proof of concepts and filed 1 patent in the US. So this is Old Atlas team. We have over 70 years of relevant combined experience in academia, in corporations, and we built a biotech startup in this field. Our team has developed computational strategies, bioinformatics software, established state-of-the-art stem cell lines, and pioneered the cultivated meat ecosystem in Latin America. So we are starting with the stem cell module, but the platform will consist of a plant breeding module and a food design module to efficiently produce novel and sustainable foods powered by AI. This will enable multiple revenue streams and to position Old Atlas as the industry lighthouse of the alternative meat and dairy industry. So we just opened a fundraising in which we are seeking 2.5 million in tranche, the first one to launch our first product and file for another patent. So I'm happy to walk you through our 2 proof of concepts and their combined potential to make cultivated meat a reality. I'm available to questions.
Awesome. Thanks for presenting, Sophia. You got it done in time. Congrats on surviving the tank. And now let's see if you can survive our investors. Kostas, Nadav, what questions do you have for Sophia and Old Atlas?
Sophia, thank you very much for the presentation. Very interesting, and you're operating as well in a very interesting space. I'd love to hear more about you. I mean, your background and how did you get to launch Old Atlas?
Thank you, Nadav. So I'm originally from Buenos Aires, from Argentina. I'm a chemical engineer. Started working in the oil and gas industry. Not too nice to say, but it's a very interesting industry. However, because of my personal, let's say, yes, personal my upbringing and being born in a developing and a mid-consumer country, I have my different feelings regarding environment and animals. And also because as an engineer, I like to solve problems. When I get back in 2013, I got to learn about cultivated meat technology. I thought that this is an amazing technology that if further developed, it can make a difference and can be part of the change we need in order to have a more sustainable world. So by then, at that time, there was no cultivated meat companies in Argentina or in Latin America. I shifted my career to the food industry, worked for operation strategy in a food corporation. And while I was doing the second master in business, I decided to fund the first cultivated meat company from Latin America. After 2 years, the company dissolved, and now I'm with this value proposition with Atlas. Basically, I understand the field and the challenges that needs to be overcome. That's why I'm proposing the stem cell lines. We are a technology enabler. That is how we like to see ourselves. And it's not just developing stem cell lines, but also coupled with support to help cultivated meat companies scale up their production. So basically building up comprehensive solutions for our cultivated meat B2C users.
Thank you.
A question for me. I mean, thanks for the presentation. First of all, really interesting. Where are you standing in terms of development? So what are the next steps and how? I mean, you had a timeline, but just to elaborate a bit more, what is in each step? What will be delivered with this round of funding, and how long will it take until this is a commercial pilot scale?
Yeah, sure. So we participated in 2 accelerator programs, and with that, we were able, with the funding and their support, we were able to have the 2 proof of concept of the software platform and the strategy to build stem cell lines for the food application. For that, we filed a patent for both things. And basically, we are in a position now in order to launch in 2-3 months the software platform. So we built the bioinformatic workflow, and we are going to hire a software developer. We know what to ask him or her in order to launch the software platform. With that, and also with further funding, we are going to be able to have our own wet lab. So basically, in order to develop the strategy regarding the stem cell lines. Since we are a bit behind in terms of getting access to a laboratory, we are going to have services in order with a service provider in terms of having enough information to feed the software platform and to validate the software platform also with this information that we are designing the experiments, but also with users from the space, with fellow founders from the cultivated meat space.
Got it, thanks.
So Sophia, I have a question about your business model and the ownership or IP. So companies work with you and you help them develop custom cultured, basically cell lines for cultured meat production, and then implement those cell lines to find results and then share those results back to you. Who owns that data? And are you then able to sell those results and cultured cell lines back to other businesses, or is this kind of a one-off consulting deal?
No, it's not a one-off consulting thing. So basically, we are developing the stem cell lines for the food application with our proprietary strategy. It's a non-GMO stem cell lines. We are starting with the bovine species, and it can be applied to other species. So then we are going for the pig species. They are going to have our continuous sourcing of stem cell lines. What is custom is the protocols on how to use them in their unique production system. We are going to own the data, but it's going to be, of course, kept to each user. We are going to manage that data, and we are going to be able in 2 years from now to feed the software platform with enough relevant information, not just coming from the users, but also from our internal labs, to have the predictions for the artificial intelligence module. but basically the stem cell lines are our property, and the protocols on how to use them in their production facilities is their know-how or their protocol.
How much does it cost you to develop a stem cell line, and how long does it take? And how long does it take general companies not using your system?
So it takes a lot. Actually, there is not a well-established stem cell line for the food application. So what you ask as stem cell line when it comes to food, it's to be highly proliferative and to be able to direct the differentiation into different tissues in an efficient way. So this is not something that is available in the market so far. Talking a bit about our competitors, so there are company providers of stem cell lines for other applications. So right now, cultivated meat companies are using what's available. If it's human, mouse, or some chicken cell lines, there is our main competitor, but they don't perform. It's okay to have, they are enough for a prototype, to develop a prototype, to be able to apply to a grant or to do a showcase, but that is not commercially viable for different reasons. It can be because it's from a species that is not eaten commonly. It can be because it's a GMO product or because it doesn't perform, basically. It doesn't produce enough cells before dying. So they are using what they have right now. The main competitor would be Roslin Institute from the UK. They are developing pig stem cell lines for the food application. However, we are providing, with our strategy, our cells are going to be non-GMO in any jurisdiction. And also we are providing this comprehensive service to help the users scale up their production.
Understood. And then your business model is basically 1% of sales. You said once the clean meat industry hits 25 billion, you would be doing 200 million a year in revenue?
Yes, that is correct. For the scale-up services, by that time we are going to be hopefully far from the scale-up service, so the scale-up would have been concluded, and 2030 would be all about reaching cost parity with traditional animal meats. So it's a continuous improvement service, what we are going to provide, apart from the continuous sourcing of relevant stem cell lines.
Understood. 1% seems kind of small for your margins if you're facilitating that much business. I don't know, but that's just my opinion.
Okay. Yes, I mean, it's something that we don't want to, of course, we can say that we can get more, but thinking realistically, I think that is what we can get with the stem cell module. We are going to have more revenues coming from other platforms regarding the plant breeding, which is expressing animal proteins in plants, like collagen in some species we have, plant species we have detected, and then the food module. But as a first product, this is the revenues we are projecting for the cultivated meat industry.
Awesome. Then that's all I have. Nadav or Kostas?
Listen, first of all, a few thoughts, and then I'll ask you maybe one final question on my end. Oh, I have lights went off. 1 second. Oh.
No worries. Still looking beautiful.
Yeah, Kostas, maybe you go first.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to ask about commercial traction. So have you talked with potential customers? What are the stage and when you will be ready to directly work with them?
Yes, so we do have several LOIs signed with B2B partners. B2B technology partners. Either they are developing bioreactors, scaffolds, or media for the cultivated meat, and they want to test their solutions in our cell lines because cell lines are lacking, and also relevant cell lines are lacking, and in order to co-develop, but also with cultivated meat B2C companies, the users. So we are going to do a pilot. We don't need the wet lab in itself to have the stem cell laboratory, I mean, to have the pilot up and running. We are going to launch the software platform in 2-3 months, and we are going to start the pilot with their cultivated meat B2C users, basically improving their media or the stem cell line compatibility with the scaffolds. And then once we have in 4-6 months our stem cell lines, then we are going to provide the full service that we are looking to.
Great, thanks. Nadav, you're back.
Yeah,
and you are under lights.
So one final thought and maybe a quick follow-up question. So first of all, at Nomea, we haven't invested in any cultivated meat or dairy company yet. Like others, we have been following, the trends and what's happening in the market. Let's first maybe zoom out a little bit. In alternative proteins, right? You have the plant-based, the fermentation, the cultivated meat. I think even, and maybe you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think even the alternative proteins, in the States, it's probably, 1.5–2% for meat out of the total market for meat, and maybe for dairy, it's much higher, maybe even close to 15%. When I think about cultivated meat, as an investor and the risks associated, so in terms of the regulatory approval, and I understand the argument, first of all, in terms of texture and the taste, the ceiling that some people think that, plant-based products will heat or have already heat. But in terms of the regulatory approval, I think there's only approval, I think in Singapore, but maybe I'm wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong here. And I think it's in process in other places like Europe, UK, and the States. So first of all, I know it's a broader question about the market, and I'm sure that many startups are asking themselves the same thing here. So this is the first question, just to get your thoughts about this. And then the last question is about the funding. So if I remember correctly, you're looking for $2 million in investment. What would be exactly the uses for the round?
Yes, okay. So regarding the regulatory approval, yes, you are correct. Singapore is a jurisdiction that is open or has shown more openness to cultivated meat technology. So that's why the commercial, many companies are being located there, or at least they have a subsidiary there. Regarding in general, or at least my opinion, or what I'm seeing is that it's something that is going to hit the market. In terms of consumer acceptance, it will come to, because of all the benefits cultivated meat has. So basically, governments will respond to that, increasing the demand from the end consumer as well. And also, it's a way for many for the governments to have sustainable foods. So I guess it's an interest from what we are seeing from several governments. Singapore maybe first, the US as well, because they have been working with cultivated meat companies for a while now in order to understand the technology, because we need to let's say, teach them, or for them to get to understand the technology and what we are doing. So basically that is something that is happening right now with FDA and USDA. So the intention is there to have a regulatory framework in place. We are going, because we are aware of that also we can have, as the field can have certain struggling when it comes to novel foods. That's why we are developing non-genetically modified stem cell lines. It's a greater challenge. With my previous venture, we were developing genetically modified stem cell lines, but now we are aiming to produce this one because we are taking into account consumer acceptance plus the government. It would be easier to approve a non-genetically modified stem cell line and an end product, hence with that. So, and also, well, in Europe as well, even though the treatment with GMO, there has been like a lot of, in my opinion, misunderstanding regarding GMO foods and the tendency that if they are harmful for human consumption. But I think that I really believe that we are heading there. Like, we need to produce foods in a much more efficient way, of course, with taking into account the human health, of course. But so I see a good perspective regarding the regulatory approvals, because it's something that is a process that has already started. And regarding the fundraising, it's 2.5 million. We are doing that in tranches. The first is 500K. And the main use of that would be to set up a laboratory and develop the cell lines. That would take between 4 and 6 months. We have all the strategy on the technological side. We just need the funds to execute that.